Superstar field for the FedEx Cup playoffs, and everyone's talking about the stars out there this week. Defending champ Victor Hovland, Patrick Cantlay has won. The BMW is known for superstar status, and it's a superstar track this week at Castle Pines. Can we make the case for a non-star to win this week? We're bringing out the big guns here on the round table. Jonathan Coachman, the coach, is with us. Coach, we had to bring you in this week to talk about stars everywhere because, you're one of them.
You know, I can't argue with that. And understand this, I was on the call last week, PGA Tour Live in Memphis, so I saw all these guys play. Plus, I used to go in college out to Castle Pines, so I am locked and loaded this week, and I could not be more excited.
And, mate, I'm live at Castle Pines, right over the back shoulder here. You've got the range. These guys hitting balls here. I hope I don't speak too loud when I'm fading certain players, but, they're right there behind us. They're figuring out their altitudes. They've got the TrackMan out. TrackMan's their best friend this week as they try to figure out their new yardages and stock yardages. It should be an epic week.
And I just learned for the first time that Jonathan Coachman played college basketball today, so you learn something new every day.
There you
go. I want both of you as salesmen. You're both entertainers. You're both, salesmen. Give me a reason why a non-star can win this week, Coach, when everybody's talking about, 1 through 8.
Yeah, it's very, very simple for me because most of the time these playoff events have gone to courses that everybody knows. It doesn't matter who you're talking about. None of these guys know this track. The PGA Tour play hasn't played in this arena for many, many, many years. So whether you're talking about Scotty Scheffler or whether you're talking about Max Gresserman, to me, they have equal footing. And it's going to be on the caddies and on themselves to adjust the quickest and not give strokes away by hitting the ball too far or walking too fast and losing their breath. So to me, the fact that it's a new track gives everybody a shot.
Yeah, strokes gained intellect, strokes gained altitude. That's what we've got this week. That is the reason why you might find someone outside the superstars who can win this week. Coach nailed it on the head there. These guys, as I mentioned a minute ago, it's all about their TrackMan at this point in time. They're taking them out on the course in their practice rounds. They've got them dialed in on the range here. They have to figure out what they're going to do and how they're going to hit at 6,000 feet elevation. And the course also has 400 feet up and down as well. It's not just a straight sort of flat track. I was talking to Matt Fitzpatrick, and he said at Cran-Sur for the DP World Tour event in Switzerland at altitude, it's pretty much a straight 10%. It's pretty flat once you're up there, the course itself. But here, they've got, altitude going up and down, so they have to really think it through. The person who's got the smartest brain this week may come out on top.
Whether it's the stars or the journeyman out there, who has the best brain, you're right, will win. Let's go back to those favorites. Last week, it seemed like it was Scotty Scheffler and then everybody else. You look at the odds to win the FedEx Cup, Coach. They haven't changed much for Scotty. They've gone down for Xander a little bit, but would you still say it's Scheffler's to lose?
I would. I got very frustrated with Scotty Scheffler last week because anytime somebody comes out and says what he said about, the way that the playoffs are done really doesn't give any importance to my regular season. Really, Scotty? Because on Saturday, the narrative that we talked about at the St. Jude was if everything falls the right way, he could lock up the number 1 seed for the Tour Championship no matter what happens this week. And to me, that gives credence to your regular season. The other thing is, Ben, these guys need to understand this is a playoff. It's not about playing the regular season and crowning. You still got to perform just like in the NBA, Major League Baseball. Any playoffs, you got to perform when you get there. But to me, it's not Scotty Scheffler. To me, it's that second guy right there that, to me, no matter where he goes, and he talked about being a dog this week. He says, I got to be in shape. All 3 playoff events are going to be hot, elevation. I got to be ready to go. He's the only person I've heard talk about that, so I'm going to go with Xander right now as my favorite.
I said Xander last week at plus 400. I'm sticking with Xander again here. He is the bulldog for the moment. And anytime you see someone talking like Scheffler did last week, to me, that's seeds of doubt. That's seeds of doubt in his own mind. He has not won a playoff event yet. Look, he's clearly, a great player. He's clearly the best player this season, but that's not what we're playing right now. Ask the Patriots when they lost the Super Bowl after being undefeated the whole season. Ask those Giants players, who cares? It all comes down to the last one, right? So it doesn't matter that the Giants won 6 less games or whatever it was that season. They won the one that counted. That's what's up for grabs here. And you need the right mindset to go after that. Xander Schauffler has the right mindset. Xander Schauffler is the one I watched last week. I was out there too, Coach, as you know, all week, watching them in person. And I spent a little bit of his practice round yesterday with Xander Schauffler. He is dialed in mentally. His game's right there. For me, he's the guy. And look, it's just silly to bet Scheffler at the minus odds anyway. We know he's going to start at 10 under or 8 under. We know that. But Eastlake hasn't been his best friend. So it just doesn't seem like a smart bet, even if you do like him. In fact, the random value there might be Rory, who is an Eastlake specialist as well. Played terrible last week.
Yeah.
Played terrible last week. I get that. But look, to be honest, and I hope he's not here and I hope he doesn't, is not over my shoulder, but he mailed that in. Simple as that. Once he got through the first round, the rest of it, he mailed that in. He knew it wouldn't make too much difference to where he was on the standings. I expect him to re-up his energy this week, re-amp things, and get going.
Sounds like a guy who's won multiple FedEx Cup playoffs in the past. Rory knows what he's doing. The playoffs, no matter what sport it is, tend to bring out stressful situations. The plot thickens, the pulse thickens, quote, Coach. So here's what I want to do. I'm going to go a head-to-head. These aren't necessarily markets of guys head-to-head. I'm going to put two players on the screen, and I want both of you to immediately react. Your gut reaction, who's got a better chance to win this week? Not to win over everybody else, to win over the other guy on the screen. We're going to do 8 cases here, and it will kind of maybe form your mind and your opinions of somebody you might want to pick. But then all of a sudden you're like, well, wait a minute. If I'm going to gut reaction, is he going to beat this guy? I say no. And I wanted to pick him earlier. Maybe I got to go back and reevaluate why I'm picking somebody. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to start at the very top. Rapid fire. Let's go. Scotty Scheffler, Xander Schauffler. Coach, you start.
This is easy for me. Xander Schauffler, he's got the right mindset. Last week he played great on Sunday, closing with a 63 and nearly having a huge comeback for the win. Scotty, to me, is playing great A- golf. Xander's A+. I'm taking Xander.
Yeah, let's just rewind what I said a little minute ago. Xander all the way for me. He's dialed in mentally as well as physically. I think he wants to prove that he has something more to offer, especially after what happened to him at the Olympics. He's got he's champion at the bit, so to speak. So Xander Schauffler for me.
First one's a warm-up. That was very easy. Now it gets tough.
It's not tough for me. Colin Morikawa, he's dialed in all year. You see he's a top 5 player right now. Patrick played well last week, but I'm going to take Morikawa over Cantlay all day, every day.
Wow, my instinct's Cantlay, but maybe I'm biased because of what I saw. He was playing with Xander yesterday. I watched him have his practice round. He looked pretty good. He fooled me last week with some epic range sessions and looking like he was going to have a massive week. He backdoored a pretty good week after a slow start. Morikawa, I'm just not certain he's at his best. So Cantlay, but just.
Crazy to think these two stars almost feel like they're trying to learn how to win again. And maybe neither one is convinced they can win the way this year has gone with the close calls. All right, even harder now. Coach, go.
I'm going to go Viktor Hovland. He played great. He talked about how golf is not fun sometimes and then went out and damn near won in Memphis. I think Hideki had his week. To me, I'm going with the defending FedEx Cup champion.
All right, let's be different. Let's go Hideki Matsuyama based on one stat and one stat alone. Since 2007, 12 guys have won twice in the playoffs. They get momentum. Victor did it last year. Why not give Hideki the chance to do it this year? Technically he's either going to win this week or next if that trend continues, or whoever wins this week will win the Tour Championship. So I'll go with the hot hand Hideki Matsuyama.
Coach, this one might seem obvious, but I don't think it is.
It's not. Wyndham Clark played great the last 3 rounds in the Olympics, and he played great in Memphis all weekend long. It's easy for me. Wyndham Clark.
Oh,
because
tough
we were
going
to go over.
Really?
Ben wants to go over.
I want to go over, even though I'm worried, because the one thing you didn't also mention about Wyndham Clark is he's a local. He's a local here. He's played this course, not in tour competition, but like 30 times. So if anyone knows anything about this place, it's Wyndham Clark. I just have this nagging feeling that Oberg is going to, after quite a few poor weeks, is going to bounce back up now and contend. I don't think he's going to win, but I think his game could contend. He won in Switzerland last year at high altitude. I'm giving some value to that. So, again, I'll say Oberg in a close one.
We have 4 left. They're going to get harder and harder, Coach.
This is Finau. He played great last week. Fleetwood, the higher you get, the worse he plays. I'm going Finau, who really wants to show something.
I hate this one. Absolutely hate it because Fleetwood has great altitude success in the past on multiple courses at altitude, Switzerland, Mexico, etc. But here's the huge but on him. He's 31st in the FedEx Cup, and we know when it comes to closing something out, something on the line, it's not his strong suit. So almost on just that fact alone, I have to lean to Tony. Although Tony's getting a lot of buzz this week. He's from Utah. He's got an altitude background. He's also got some stuff going on away from the course that worry me. So Finau just.
Coach, by the way, Ben was giving me crap earlier today for picking Finau over Fleetwood in an actual head-to-head. And now the kid's going to say Finau?
I'm saying it because I hadn't looked at where he was on the FedEx Cup. I was ready to smash Fleetwood in that market. If Fleetwood was sitting 20th in the FedEx Cup, I would say smash Fleetwood. But because he's 31st, I'm worried.
I had no idea that he was as fast running backwards as he is. It's very impressive.
Good job. Hey, everyone's got to be good at something, right? Okay, here's the narrative. Is Justin Thomas done winning?
He is. I thought last week he was going to have a good week. He did not. Sam Burns is playing great. Top 10 last week. This is easy. I mean, this is really easy. Sam Burns.
Contrary, Justin Thomas. Random one this week. Let me throw it out you there. Yeah, I don't know if he's going to win this tournament.
Coach,
but I think Burns was a Bermuda Burns last week, and I think he has trouble closing the deal as well. When it comes to Thomas, I'll throw this stat at you. We went to the WC Mexico 4 years, and that was the highest altitude, 8,000 feet there. One guy finished in the top 10 all 4 years, Justin Thomas. So maybe he's got altitude figured out. That's my only saving grace.
I've got to jump back in here.
Yeah.
I love the altitude discussion, guys, but Justin Thomas hasn't won since the PGA Championship, and he's having a good year numbers-wise, but he hasn't really competed for a win at all in over 2 years. And it's I think he might
Burns
be
can't
done
close.
winning. Yeah,
Burns can't close.
You know, he was gifted that PGA Championship
Burns,
too. Let's be honest.
gifted.
I'm saying this, Coach. Burns and Fleetwood at the moment, you really shouldn't look at them in outright markets. You go to the place markets, right? You go
And
for
I'm
them
not.
for top finishes.
This discussion is who would win over each other.
Yeah.
Right now, I'd say
don't
Burns,
think-
but I don't think JT's
Right.
done winning, Coach. I mean, I just
Right.
don't agree with you.
I do think he's done winning the big one. I really do. There's so many young cats that
wow.
are coming out here, and when I say big ones, I mean majors or signature events. And all these young dudes,
Wow.
the Obergs, the Dunlaps, the Tom Kims, and you're seeing that wave. That's just my opinion.
This is a good one because it's a good segue into a guy everyone says can't win.
Cam Young hasn't won yet, so I'm not going to pick him until he does.
Yeah.
It's why his number's at plus 5,000. And Corey Connors has a ton to play for, guys. He's got he should be a lock. He's in the 7th spot for the President's Cup, but he's a great ball striker. Should be able to adjust to the altitude. And Cam Young last week, I had him in a head-to-head individual round. He was plus. I had a 4-shot lead. He was plus 6 in his last 4 holes. He's dead to me this week.
Yeah, based on strokes gained intellect and strokes gained composure, Corey Connors for me.
Oh my gosh, this is the gala for me. Sanjay didn't play well last week. I think he's had a great year. They're both top 10 guys in the FedEx Cup numbers, but the gala, great attitude, and I think he'll adjust to the severity of the changes this week better.
Here is a matchup we actually might see in Canada in a little bit's time for the President's Cup. I'd love to see those two go head-to-head. I think the gala here, just because I think he's still just making sure he proves his place in the American team. He looks like he'll make it on automatic points. I think he just wants to make a bird of that this week. They locked that out after this tournament. So I expect him to have a decent week and then go from there. So, yeah, I'm actually excited to see Thigala in the American team in the President's Cup, even though obviously I want the international team to win.
Moral of the story of this entire exercise, Justin Thomas has a long way to go to win, no matter what side of that spectrum you're on. Okay, we've done everything. Now time to get to our bets. Coach, your best bet for this week.
So I'm going to go with Will Zalatoris. And all my guys are guys that are in super good shape. I have Xander's voice resonating in my head. Zalatoris putted well last week. I know it was a course that he played on well before, but I think that momentum that he has from last week, he's had a couple of good finishes this year in signature events, and I think he's motivated to show the golf world that he is back. And for me, Will Zalatoris, top 20, is plus 120. I love him there this week for a top 20.
I love the fact that you've done what I've done in that. Go to the top 20 market in a 50 million field and find plus money bet. They're out there. So here you've got mine, 125. I got Alex Noren for a top 20. Has been sitting around the top 20 basically all season. And again, I might be putting a bit too much on the altitude, but he is a staple top 10 finisher on the DP World Tour at altitude, also at the Barracuda in the history of that when that was at altitude. Also won, I believe, in Mexico. So, like, clearly he knows how to figure it out when he goes to different areas and different altitude. I think he's only got to beat, a little more than half the field, and you're getting plus money. That's where you look for value. So go straight to your top 20 markets, start at the plus 100, and find a guy you like.
When I saw both of you go to top 20s, I changed my Akshay Bhatia bet from top 10 plus 300 to what I now think is guaranteed money for a top 20 at plus 125. Think about how this guy has done at the events he's played his best at. They were all shootouts with tons of birdies, winning score 18, 22, 25 under. That's going to be this week, barring some crazy weather going on this week. Akshay Bhatia has been knocking at the door. He's going to drive it so well this week. His tee to green game is going to be impeccable. I think Akshay's looking good, Ben.
Barracuda champion, right?
Yep.
Just not that long ago. Also at altitude. So clearly another guy that's proven he can do it in the mountains. And just having another season. By the way, I mentioned the Gala as the young gun on the American team for the President's Cup.
Yeah.
This guy is on the bubble-ish for picks. They absolutely have to pick him. I don't care what he does this week, whatever, next week. They must pick him for the future. They should have Digala and Bhatia as their two young guns going forward for Ryder Cups and President's Cups.
Let's move on to long shots. Coach, I heard you say this name earlier. Does he have demons?
He does not, because I've become pretty good friends with him the last couple of years, and I just texted with him Sunday night after he shot a 63 in the final round, and for 3 or 4 hours he bounced in and out and in and out, and he sent this text to me. He says, "Coach, I'm so proud of what I did today. The top 50 means the world to me, signature events, everything in 2025. That's his mindset. And at plus 7,500, you're talking about a guy who had 2 straight top 2s.
Yep.
And if it wasn't for a quadruple bogey at the Wyndham Championship, he would have his first win. So at this number, for a guy who's trending, who closed with a 63 when he needed to have it on Sunday to play this week, that's worth a little sprinkle to me, Ben.
I knew you were a salesman.
Yeah, no, look at this. The reality is he's got nothing to lose this week, right? He can just go out, hammer it, and have a crack. And if you're looking at a long shot this week, that's what you want. You want someone who's not trying to protect this position, not trying to, sneak in there. You want them sort of at least 36th or above in the FedEx Cup standings and really figuring out, let's just go after it and see what happens. They've got their signatures events hooked up. Now they're just chasing essentially a Masters berth and a spot there for a chance at the 25 mil. So, I think it's a good player. So you're looking for a long shot. It's a stab in the dark this week anyway. You might as well go with a hot hand.
Ben, I'm curious, what just happened to you there when Coach was talking about his text with Grazerman? were you thinking about your long shot?
I got attacked by some bees or wasps in the area here on the range. Maybe someone sent it. Maybe Rory or someone sent it over my way after I said he was struggling. But look, I'm going Matt Fitzpatrick. I spoke to him multiple times yesterday and today on this range right behind me. 2-time winner in Switzerland on the DP World Tour, plus a multitude of, I think, a runner-up and another top 10 there at that course. I talked to him about that. I said, Kenny, take what he did there and move it to here. He said, while it's a little different, as I mentioned earlier, he does have to do a little bit more mental math. No one looks at their numbers more than Matt Fitzpatrick. No, he literally has written down every shot he's ever played, how far it went, what the trajectory was during competition. He had the TrackMan out here. He's got it out on course. He'll dial it in. He gave me a wink when I said that 55-1 seems like great value. So I'm going to run with that. I'm going to say Fitzpatrick, who drives it better than most in terms of accuracy, can get it on the map here and maybe surprise a few people.
So if I've already picked a player who's won in altitude, how about another one who's won 12 miles down the road at Cherry Hills just 1 year ago, albeit it was against amateurs at the U.S. Amateur in 2023. But, Coach, Nick Dunlap's a guy who you might think's a one-hit wonder, gets to tour, realizes it's really hard, has not been the case. I love the fact that he realizes he can compete with the top players in the world, playing great last week.
You know what I loved is the behind-the-scenes video of him not knowing if he was going to get in. He was the ultimate wild card. At one point when he was solo second, he was all the way up to 11th. Then all those guys go by him, and now he's down to 47 or 48 with the quadruple points. And then afterwards, he was like, that is the most nervous I have ever been in my life playing golf. That's how much this means to him. And think about this. If he had the extra 500 from the American Express, he'd be way higher. So this is a guy that is kind of like smoke and mirrors. He should be much higher than he is. I like him, and at that number, really like him.
And Chris, you just had his last 5 starts. Remind everyone where that first was, that really recent first. That was at, was it not, the Barracuda
That was
Championship?
at the Barracuda, the Barracuda last month.
Also altitude. I will throw out one warning, because again, I watched the whole final round, walked with him and Hideki, and talked to him off camera at the end as well, and really congratulated him, not because just for making it through to this top 50, because at one point in that final round he was scuffling, he was falling back, and he was on the bubble again, and he was able to absolutely turn that around mid-round, much like Hideki did at the finish. But that's really hard to do. Like when you are looking at those leaderboards, he could see his projection going up and down. He knew what was at stake, and he was able to get it done. However, he looked exhausted. He looked like he had run a marathon. I just wonder how is his energy levels coming into this week. That'd be my only thing. But much like coaches, long shot, he's got nothing to lose here, right? Just have a crack. Have a crack, see what happens.
I love the fact that he's 20 years old. I'll just put that for the kind of fatigue factor going on there. Coach, I love your winner because he's also my winner.
Last year, he kind of came out of nowhere. And to me, I've got to go with a guy who's in really, really good shape, and that is Viktor Hovland. A week ago today, he was talking about how golf isn't fun. I'm not playing well. He made it to the top 70, but I really don't know if I deserve to be here. Then he goes out Friday. He really caught fire, and he looked really in control over the weekend. And after what he did a year ago, he understands when you get to these top 50s that it's about, yes, playing well this week, but it's about making sure you start, at least in my opinion, at least at -6 next week to keep Scotty Scheffler within shouting distance. So I think with a win this week, he'll position himself potentially to go back-to-back, and I think he really wants to do that.
Like Hovland, absolute deja vu from last year. I was at Memphis again last year. He had a terrible couple of range sessions. He looked awful leading into that tournament. I told everyone to fade him, jump off him. He's going to suck. And he did suck the first round there last year. Much kind of like, and then from that point on, legitimately just went from strength to strength. Like the 3 rounds in Memphis into winning this tournament, into winning the FedEx Cup was amazing to see. Is he on the same track? Possibly, but I'm not fully convinced yet. Just not fully convinced. I'm happy to be proven wrong, but I've got a different winner for you boys.
Coach and I are hoping that a 61 is in Viktor Hovland's future like it was last year. We know who your winner is, Benny, but continue to pitch why Xander is the alpha dog here this week.
Absolute alpha dog. He just looks like he's ready to get it all done. Looks like he's the man going forward for this entire FedEx Cup. As I said, most of the time we have guys who win twice during the playoffs. Patrick Cantlay laughed at me and he said, well, they've got to at least win once. You've obviously got to win the Tour Championship. But I think Xander is ready to step his foot down right now. He came with a flourish in the final round last week. Looks like he's ready to peak at just the right time. I think he wants to prove his worth. I think he wants to get over that Olympic sort of meltdown in that final round and get back in the Player of the Year discussion. 2 majors, plus a FedEx Cup. It's going to be an interesting scenario if that's how it plays out between the 2 top dogs. Xander, for me, looks relaxed, having fun, making fun of me out there on the course. That's always a good sign. Xander, all the way.
Yeah, Coach, just for some context, Benny Betts and Xander were walking down the first hole together yesterday while we were filming one of these videos, and he went up to Xander, and he made Xander hold his 4 clubs he had in the fairway because he had no idea how far to judge the distance. He had 4 clubs, and he showed Ben all 4 of his clubs.
That's
hilarious. It was interesting. Like he had the TrackMan out on course, as most of these guys are doing today and also tomorrow, just to try to get an idea of how far the ball's going to go in all of their clubs. But again, I trust him. I trust his caddy Austin to be able to figure that out, and I just trust that as I said earlier, he is what we call in Australia a mongrel or a bulldog, right? Mongrels are the dogs that are going to fight for every scrap, every bone. Then nothing's going to be handed to them. They're going to take it from you if you give them an opportunity. And I think Scheffler's mindset has given him an opportunity. He also, look, I'll say this, and he didn't say this, but I got the vibe of this. He looked at what Rory did last week in sort of taking the foot off the gas, and he wanted to make a statement like, I'm not that guy. I could have done that, but I'm not that guy. Because I had spoken to him pre-tournament in Memphis and said, hey, is there a chance you guys at the top, if you're not starting well, might just back off? And he said, do you even know me? And just gave me a dead stare. And I was like, oh, okay. I spoke to him again today. He said, you want to ask me the same question? I said, nope, not at all.
Yeah,
not at all. I know you've got it. And he's dialed in.
Yeah, real quick, Xander's been the only guy that I've seen that has talked about this as a 3-tournament marathon. And so the mindset, has been said, is it has to be right. And these guys are going individual. That's not how Xander's looking at this, because he knows no matter what happens, he's going to be top 2 next week. So get dialed in, win, put some more cash in the bank, make some more money for his, but also get that body right. And he's the only one that I've seen talk like that.